All right, today we're diving into a classic folktale from India. It's a story all about an unlikely friendship that gets pushed to its absolute limit by a sudden, terrifying test.
So, let's set the scene. Our story begins way, way deep in the lush, vibrant world of the Indian jungle. You know, a place just teeming with life, sound, and color. And it's right here that we meet our main characters, two best friends who, honestly, couldn't have been more different from each other. Their names were Chundu and Parvati. Okay, so you've got Chundu, who's this really clever Bengal fox. He's quick, he's got these tall, pointy ears, and a tail that's just as bushy as the rest of him. And then there's his best pal, Parvati. She's a small turtle with a big head and this really beautiful round shell with leopard-like spots. They actually met when they were little while digging for snails, and yeah, they'd been inseparable ever since. So, one morning, they meet up at their favorite spot, this kind of marshy area right by the river. Chundu goes, "Good morning, Parvati." And Parvati's like, "Hey, Chundu, I found a huge patch of snails just up the trail. You want to go grab some breakfast?" And just like that, they were off. The jungle that morning was absolutely electric with sound. You had birds tweeting and screeching, monkeys hooting and hollering way up in the canopy. And the air, oh man, it was just thick with the sweet smell of fruit and that earthy, musky smell of mushrooms right after a rain. Pretty soon, they stumble upon this patch of freshly dug dirt near a stream. And it was a total treasure trove. We're talking glistening, silver-white grubs just packed in there. It was shaping up to be a pretty perfect morning feast, but well, that peace wasn't going to last. Out of nowhere, this deep, throaty growl echoes from the brush right behind them. It sounded like two giant boulders rumbling together. And just like that, the peaceful morning was completely shattered. And there he was. The source of the growl was a huge leopard, just lounging on a low branch. He was tawny with black spots, his pale yellow eyes were locked right on them, and worst of all, his teeth were bared in this hungry predator's smile.
Chundu let out a scream of pure terror. He didn't even think twice, he just turned and was gone, vanished into the thick jungle. Parvati tried to follow, but, turtles aren't exactly as fast as foxes or leopards for that matter.
She had only taken a few steps before the leopard leaped from the branch, landing with a soft thud right in her path, blocking her way. "And where do you think you're going?" he rumbled. "Your little friend left you behind."
The leopard topped her shell with his long, sharp claws. "Oh," he mocked, "and this lunch comes in its own lunchbox. How convenient." All Parvati could do was pull her head, arms, and legs deep inside, basically turning herself into a little fortress of stone.
The leopard picked her up in his powerful jaws and bit down hard. Parvati could hear her shell creaking and groaning under the pressure, but it held. Frustrated, he dropped her and started trying to fish her out with his hooked claws, just scratching and scraping deep inside her shell. As those sharp claws scraped around inside, a terrible, sinking thought started to form in Parvati's mind. Chundu brought her here. He ran away without even looking back. Had he tricked her? Had he actually betrayed his best friend? And right then, almost as if her thoughts had summoned him, a voice came out of a nearby thicket. It was Chundu. The leopard stopped, really annoyed, and snarled toward the brush. "Who said that?"
"It's me," said Chundu, stepping out very carefully. "And I know that turtle better than anyone. I can help you get her out." The leopard was suspicious, but the fox kept going. "Look, I'm hungry too. I'll help you out if you give me a bite." From inside her shell, Parvati cried out, "Chundu, how could you?" But the fox didn't even glance her way. He just sniffed and said those chilling words. It looked like her absolute worst fears were coming true.
Chundu pointed and told the leopard he thought he saw another turtle behind him. And in the split second the big cat turned to look, Chundu gave Parvati a big, quick, unmistakable wink. This wasn't a betrayal at all. It was a trick.
"You'll never crack that shell by force," Chundu explained to the now very gullible leopard. "The trick is, you have to throw her in the water. She'll sink like a stone. Once she's totally waterlogged, her shell will get soft, and you can pull her right out, easy."
The leopard, completely fooled and super eager for his meal, just picked Parvati up in his jaws and, with a powerful snap of his head, tossed her like a skipping stone right into the stream nearby.
Of course, Chundu knew his friend was a fantastic swimmer. She didn't sink for a second. The moment she hit the water, she was out of the leopard's sight and just stealthily swam downstream, away from the danger and straight to freedom.
So how long do we have to wait? The impatient leopard asked. But there was no answer. He looked into the brush. The fox was gone. He splashed into the water. The turtle was gone too. And that's when it hit him. He'd been tricked. He let out this huge roar of anger and stalked off to find a less devious meal.
Meanwhile, Parvati made it back to her cove safely. A moment later, Chundu showed up, panting from his own narrow escape, and he immediately apologized. "I'm so sorry I ran away," he said. "I knew I couldn't fight him. I had to buy myself a minute to think up a plan."
"That's okay," Parvati said, "but I'm sorry too. For a second there, I really actually thought you had left me on purpose." Chundu just looked at her and said, "Never. You're my best friend. I will always help you." And Parvati promised him the exact same thing.
And with that, they both just laughed. Their friendship had been tested by some serious fear, but it turned out to be stronger than ever. They went off together to find a much, much safer spot for breakfast, making absolutely sure to stay well away from any leopards.